Everyone, this is Stephanie. Welcome to another video. So today we're going to work on the Calendula Pendant, and that goes with the earrings right here that we made last video. And these were inspired by the flowers that I'm actually growing in my house this winter, which just made me so happy and got me through the winter, seeing the beautiful yellow of the calendulas. I also grew zinnias and they're all pink and gorgeous. So I highly recommend growing flowers. Just find a little sunny window and buy some seeds, and it's amazing how they grow. Anyway, we're going to make this pendant. So this is what it looks like. I used some of the beads from the Vintage Dreams collection by Eureka Crystal Beads, but you can use any beads you like here. You don't have to have the collection, but if you happen to have it, you can make this with the collection. All right, so I'm going to get into a materials list immediately. Okay, let's get that materials list going. So you'll need a 13 by 18 millimeter oval fancy stone. Let me pull in a little bit. And you'll need some 3 millimeter fire polish. I've got some 2 millimeter fire polish. They're kind of mixed in. I've got a Delica, a 15-0. Now the 15-0 I added from my stash. Everything else is in the collection if you have the collection, except the ribbons, of course. We've got a 11-0 Toho. I've got a 15-0 Miyuki, and I've got a little 11-0 Miyuki here. And this, if you have the collection, is from the mix. So one of the tubes you get has these two different color pink beads as well as all these other beads. So if you have this, you can just, what I did is I just took out, I separated the beads there. Let's see, what else do we need? I think that's it as far as beads. You need a size, I would use a size 11 or 12 beading needle. I've got some 6-pound Fireline thermally fused tough. Love this in crystal. And we'll just pretend that one of these is a stop bead. And of course the ribbon. This ribbon actually, the one that I put it on, is from a Eureka collection. I'm just not sure which, I forget which collection this was, but it is in the collection. The pink one is from my stash. I love these ribbons. I'll link them, in the description box below the video. I think they're so pretty for spring and summer. All right, so everything again will be in the description box below the video, sizes, colors, shapes, how many beads you need, anything that I want to add, any coupon codes I have, anything I forget to do in the materials list. Did I forget something here? No, I didn't. Okay. All right, so let's get started. 5.5 feet of thread and put a stop bead around in the center. We'll use both ends. Okay, so I have picked up 40 Delicas and I drop them down to my stop bead, just like that. Okay, I'm going to sew these into a circle by sewing through the first bead after my stop bead. So that's the first Delica right here. That gives me my circle, just like that. I'm going to do our regular peyote bezel. So exiting a Delica, picking up a Delica, I'm going to skip the next one and sew through the following one. So just like this, it's going to pull apart a little bit, but once you pull the beads together, this is what it should look like. That Delica should sit on the previous one. So let's do that again. Picking up a Delica, exiting this one, I'm going to skip the next one and sew through the following one. This might make it a little bit more clear. Just like that. Picking up a Delica, exiting this Delica, skipping this one, sewing through the following one. Delica, exiting here, skip the next one, sew through the following one. So just like that, I'm going to do that all the way around. Coming down to the end of this round, so I have one more bead to put on. I'm going to step up here. So I'm exiting this Delica right here. I'm going to skip this one and I'm going to sew through the next one and then the one on the diagonal. Let me just get my finger out of the way. So just like that. So skipping one, sewing through the next one, and then that one on the diagonal. And that's going to step us up so that we can put some more beads on. That's what it looks like. Let's add another round of Delicas. So I'm exiting a Delica. I'm just going to pick up a Delica and I'm going to sew through every sticking out bead. So this one, this one, this one. Or, if you want to get technical, the up bead, because it is up. So, exiting this one, picking up a Delica, sewing through the next sticking out bead or up bead, again, again. You got it. So you're going to do that all the way around, and then we'll step up. You'll notice as you're going along, it's starting to curve. You don't want to pull this super, super tight, but just enough so that it starts to curve a little bit. So I just put my thumb in and I just do that just a little bit. All right, so finish up. Step up. I have one more bead to put on, so I'm exiting this delica right here. I'm going to sew through this one. I get my needle in there. So that would be the next sticking out bead. And then the one on the diagonal. This is going to put us up here so that we can add some more beads on. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I'm just holding it on my finger. This is where I'm exiting this delica. See, here's my tail thread with the stop bead. Now we're just going to add some 15-ohs. So we're going to pick up a 15-oh, exiting here. We're going to sew through the next sticking out bead. Clear that up a little bit. Do that again. Just going to keep doing this all the way around, just sewing on a 15-oh in between each sticking out delica. So do that all the way around, and then we'll step. Coming down to my last 15-oh. So exiting the delica, I'm going to sew through this delica, which is the sticking out bead or the up bead, and then this 15-oh on the diagonal. And that completes that round. We're going to add another round of 15-ohs. So picking up a 15-oh, exiting this 15-oh, going to sew through the next sticking out bead, which is the 15-oh. So we're just going to keep doing this all the way around. Oops. Like that. Like so. So I'll just let you go off to finish this round, and then we'll step up together. Let's step up. So here's my 15-oh. I'm exiting this 15-oh. I'm going to sew through this 15-oh right here, and then the one on the diagonal. So just like so. That's what we have so far. What we have so far. So I'm just going to put this needle and thread aside because we'll use this again. And I'm going to turn it around, turn my bezel around, and here's my stop bead. I'm just going to take off that stop bead and thread a needle. So I've threaded my needle, and I'm exiting this delica right here. I'm just going to sew through this one on the diagonal just so I can get to the front, so I can put some more beads on. So this one I'm going to put my stone in. It's not going to stay yet. You might want to tighten your thread up in the back a little bit. Let me pop that in. So right now it's very loose, but it will tighten up as we go along. So now we're going to add a round of 15-ohs. So picking up a 15-oh, exiting the delica, I'm going to sew through the next delica. Picking up a 15-oh, sewing through the next delica. You're going to do that all the way around, and notice I'm holding it, holding the stone in there because it just wants to pop out. But as you get around, it will start to tighten up. So go ahead and come around, and we'll step up. Come around, and I'm ready to step up. So my last 15-oh, exiting this delica, I'm going to sew through this delica right here, and then the 15-oh on the diagonal. That's going to step me up. So I can put some more beads on. Now I'm just going to add another round of 15-ohs. So just sewing through each sticking out 15-oh. Just like that. So you're just going to do this all the way around. Let's step up. So last 15-oh of this round, exiting this 15-oh, I'm going to sew through this 15-oh and the one on the diagonal. Okay, so now we're done with that round. Let's do this little sort of decorative inside here. You don't have to do this if you don't want to. You can add another round of 15-ohs. You can leave it. But we're gonna do that little decorative interior. So 15-0, exiting. So it's like you're putting another round on, exiting 15-0. I'm gonna sew through the next 15-0, sticking out 15-0, just like that. And then, so I'm exiting right here. I'm gonna sew through this 15-0 and this 15-0 right here, and then I'm going to put another 15-0 on. We'll do this a couple of times. So now I'm going to put a 15-0 right here. Let's do that again. Exiting this one, I'm going to sew through this one. Actually, you can do the 2 on the diagonal if you like, so just like that. So those 2. And then I'm going to put another 15-0 on. So just like that. So you can just do that all the way around. We want to put our last 15-0 on. So I just put this one on right here. Now I want to go sew through this one. Just like we've been doing. And then this one, so the one on the diagonal. And then we want to add one more 15-0 right here, like that. And now you've added all your beads on, so you can just sew through this 15-0. So I've come down a little bit here, and you're all done with this. So I want you to go ahead and just sew through this delica. I just want to move the thread out of the way. So this is what it looks like. Pretty, huh? This is what it looks like so far. So now we're going to leave this, keep that needle and thread, and I want to turn it on the back. So here. So you'll be exiting one of these 15-0s on the back here, right there. I'm just going to sew through this one, like that, and then this delica treasure, whichever you're using, right there. So you'll be exiting the delica or treasure right after the round of 15-0s on the back. Okay, so we're exiting this delica or treasure right there, that first one after the 15-0s. I want you to move your thread one more time over to the next delica. So be exiting right there. Okay, next up I'm going to pick up my Toho 11-0, exiting right here. I'm going to sew through the next one in line, so the next delica. So it's going to put it on like so. Next up I'm going to pick up my 3mm fire polish and a 15-0. I'm going to drop those down like so. I'm going to skip the 15-0. I'm going to sew through the 3mm fire polish and the next delica. See that? So just in line there. So that's going to place that just like so. Then I'm going to pick up another Toho 11-0, exiting this delica. I'm going to sew through the next one in line. And then I'm going to do that same thing I did before. I'm going to pick up my 3mm fire polish and my 15-0. I'm going to drop those down. I'm going to just skip the 15-0, so back through the 3mm, and then through the next delica in line. That's this one. That's what it looks like. So you're just going to keep repeating that. Put on your Toho 11-0, 3mm fire polish, and a 15-0. Going to drop those down. I'm going to skip the 15-0. I'm going to sew through the 3mm fire polish, and then right on through the next delica in line. So just like that. That's what it's going to look like. Here's what it looks like from the front. So you're just going to continue that all the way around. You know, you're working on the back. Okay, adding our last fire polish, 3mm fire polish, and the 15-0, skipping the 15-0. I'm going to sew through the next delica. So it's this one. That's where we started. So just like that. And so now you have everything on this side at the moment. And then here's the front. So we're going to work on the front a little bit. So again, put that needle aside. I know I'm going back and forth, but I just find that it just comes out better when you kind of equally work on one side and the other, or as equally as possible. All right, so we're going to go to the front now. Okay, we're on the front, and we're exiting. So remember, we just moved the thread over one, so we're exiting from the 15-0 to the delica here. I want you to move it one more time. So you're exiting this delica, so the one on the diagonal right there. You're under that fire polish bead, so we're exiting right here. I'm going to pick up an 11-0, the 2mm fire polish and the 11-0, and that metallic 11-0 is from that mix. Exiting here, I'm going to skip this one and sew through the following one. So I'm not going to go right through this one. I'm going to go through this one. That's just going to put that right there, like so. Do that again. 11-0, 3mm, 2mm fire polish and 11-0. Just lost them. Grab it back there. So just like that. So we're exiting this delica in here. I'm going to skip the next one in line and sew through the next one. So just like that. You're just going to do that all the way around. Okay, coming down to my last 11-0, 2mm fire polish 11-0. So I'm exiting this delica in here, skipping this one, sewing through this one. That's the original one we started with. So just like that. And that puts that group on. I'm just going to, so I'm exiting this delica, I'm just going to sew through this one. I'm looking at my original one to make sure I'm doing it right. So you'll be exiting a delica right after the 15-0s, right here. Last round on the front, I'm going to pick up my 11-0 Toho, exiting this delica, I'm going to sew through the next one. Do that again. Picking up my 11-0 Toho, exiting this one, I'm going to sew through the next one in line. So each, you're going to put one in between each of the delica. So exiting here, sewing through this one. If you have to change your needle size, you can do that. Go to a Okay, this is what it looks like so far on the front. Now you can just sew this thread in, and then we will add the bail on separately. So we're going to go to the back. We have one more round to do on the back. So here we are right here. We're exiting. We just put this fire polish on right there, so here. And we're exiting this interior delica. I just want you to move your thread to closer to that other delica that's right on the edge there before the 15-0s. So just like that. Okay, so we're exiting this delica right there. So I'm going to pick up the 11-0 metallic pink from the mix. And I'm exiting here. I'm going to sew through the next delica. I'm going to do that again. Through the next delica. Again, 11-0 through the next delica. And you're going to continue that all the way around until you've gotten all your 11-0s on, and then you're just going to sew in that thread. Okay, let's add a bail. So I'm going to I'm doing a herringbone bail, and I'm going to try to sort of get it centered here. So when I kind of put my needle like so, this bead here looks like it's about center. I mean, it might not be perfect because there are beads going all different directions, but just try to get it as centered as possible. So I'm going to kind of use this as my just reference point, these beads here. And I'm going to turn it this way, and I'll pull in. So here's the bead that I'm going to use as my sort of my center reference. And I'm going to sew through this one and this one. So I'm going to go from this one. So that's that Toho 11-0 right there. See that? It's next to that, to this guy. Just going to put my needle through. I have, some thread on my needle, maybe 2.5 feet. You're going to do herringbone, so you'll need a little bit of thread here. So I've come through that bead right there. I'm going to pick up a 3mm fire polish, 2 11/0s, and I'll show you in a second, and a 3mm fire polish. So just like that. Exiting here, I'm just going to hop over to this one, and I'm going to sew through that one on the other side and make sure it pops in the back. And you see how that's gonna pop on like so, and we're going to start our herringbone up here. This is what we have so far. You know, we've put the 3mm fire polish with the 2 11/0s and the 3mm fire polish. I'm going to turn it to the other side because we want to come around again. So you're exiting that 11/0, that Toho 11/0 right there. So I'm going to pick up one of my Miyuki 11/0s, and I'm exiting this one in here. I'm just going to sew through this one right here. So I just want to place an 11/0 right in between there. Then I'm going to pick up another one and go here, the next one. So I'm just sort of securing the back a little bit, and then another 11/0, and I want to go through. Let's see if I can hold this. I want to go through this, the Toho 11/0 on the other side. So we want to repeat on this side what we did on that side. So when I do that, do you see how it just puts a group of 11/0s on the back just to kind of secure it? There we go. Just give it a little pull, and you'll be exiting the interior Toho 11/0. So all we're going to do at this point is turn it, and we're going to go up through that 3mm. We just want to get to the top and out. Let me pull my tail thread. Up through the 3mm fire polish and out that top 11/0 so we can start the herringbone. So this is just setting it up to put your herringbone on. So see, when I give it a pull, both sides, this is what it looks like, and the back just has, you know, several beads across here just to secure it. Herringbone. So I'm going to pick up 2 11/0s, and I'm going to sew through the 11/0 on the other side. So I'm exiting this 11/0. I'm going to sew through the one on the other side, like so. And then I'm just going to sew back up through this 11/0 and the next one. So right there. And you should be able to pull, get that little bead out there. There we go. You should be able to pull that together. So that little bead is the top of this one, which looks fine actually. Okay, so we have a first herringbone stitch on. Picking up 2 11/0s. Put another one on, so we're going to go down 1 on the other side. And up 2 back to this side. So that's your, you know, sort of your basic herringbone stitch. Do it one more time. Picking up 2, down 1, and up 2 on the other side. Like so. And you're just going to continue that until you have the bail, you know, the length that you want it to be. So I'm just going to keep going, and then, you know, it depends on your whatever necklace you're using, whatever you're going to put it on. I think I did about, I don't know, maybe about 20 herringbone stitches. I'm not sure though. When I'm done, I'll come back and I'll let you know. Okay, so I finished all my herringbone stitches. I did about 16 of them. I'm going to turn it around, and that 16 is going to make a loop that's big enough if I wanted to put a chain around it or a ribbon. So I'm turning to the other side. I'm exiting here. I'm going to pick up one of my 11/0s, and I'm just going to sew through, I think I'm going to sew through this middle 11/0. So I have that group of 11/0s that I put on the back. So just this one, it's in between those two fire polish. Just want to get a connection going. So there, like that. And then I'm going to pick up another one of the 11-0. So I'm exiting out of this little 11-0 here. I'm just going to sew back up through the other side of my herringbone. Let me see if I get that straightened out. So like that. So see when I pull it, how it attaches on. So all you're going to do at this point is sew up a few beads, sew down, come around again to make sure it's nice and secure. Sew in your other thread, and then you'll have your bail on. Okay, we're back and we're done. And I love the pink. I don't know, I'm loving pink. I was never a huge pink fan, but I'm loving pink. It's so pretty, and I love this too. So I mean, they're both colors I think are really beautiful. As far as the ribbons, here are your earrings. You can do a regular chain. I didn't have one nearby, so I didn't put one out, but it would look beautiful with a chain as well. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you make them and post it on Facebook. Nice and cheerful for the coming warm weather. I can't wait. All right, thank you so much, and I'll see you next time. Bye.